Hey Fly Tires, welcome back. My name is Matt and thank you for stopping by the channel. Now tonight's pattern is number 19 in the Great Smoky Mountain series. This one is a fairly old pattern created in the 1950s by a guy named Francis Betters. Now Fran ran a shop in the Adirondacks on the Ausable. He's pretty well known for 3 patterns: the Ausable Wolf, the Usual, and this one, the Haystack. Now with the deer hair wing, this thing is a pretty high floater, but with the tail that rides down in the surface film, it's also a fish attractor. So what exactly does it imitate? Pretty much just a mayfly. Vary the colors a little bit. It can be a Quill Gordon, a March Brown, a Hendrickson. Now the pros of this fly are that it is a high floater, so it's easy for the fishermen to see, but it's also in the surface film, so it's easier for the fish to see. And as with any fly in the surface film, you probably have fewer missed strikes. It's a super easy fly to tie. I think you're gonna like it. Let's get going. So there it is in the vise, the Haystack. This was an olive colored one. Common sizes for this fly are 12 to 16. I'm tying this one on a 14, 1X long dry fly hook, and I'm using 70 denier brown olive UTC thread. I'm gonna put a base, not all the way back yet, we will, but just up here where I'm going to tie in this wing. So maybe a third of the way back, maybe not quite a third. Let's go one more wrap forward. Now the first thing we're going to tie in is our wing. If you have comparadun hair, see this stuff right here? This is good fine deer body hair. This is a hairline. If you don't have that, regular deer body hair will work. Just make sure you get a good little piece of it, and it doesn't take a lot. So you'll definitely want to put it in a stacker and open it up with the tips forward. So slowly here, just so you don't pull it out. So those tips are pretty well aligned. I'm going to pull them out and switch hands, of course, and measure about a hook shank length, probably just a little bit forward of where my thumb is right there. So catch this in right here, not a tight wrap, pulling a little bit tighter up on my side. And before I let go with my material hand, I'm going to put several wraps going back, trying to keep it from spinning. Now you're going to want it to spin in a little bit, but not just yet. So, okay, that's a good 5 or 6 wraps right there. And it's starting to spin a little bit, but that's okay. So let's just go ahead and take a few more tight wraps right here. And now we can trim off this mess in the back. So it might take a little bit of work to get this. If you can get it into a taper, it's going to pay off when you try to build this taper with the thread. So, okay, we'll see if we can make that our taper right there. I think we should be able to. So just a couple of, medium wraps going through here. My thread's splitting apart on me, so I'm going to give it a little clockwise spin. Okay, that's not a terrible taper. I think we can live with that. And the tail is just the same hair. So take your thread back to the start of the bend, and you'll take a little bit less this time. So I'm going to put it in the stacker again, just to give it a few whacks here. See if that did any good for it. I think it looks pretty good right there. So I'm going to put a few tight wraps right here. And I think I'm going to go ahead and put one wrap under it just to try and keep it from spinning around too much on me. Okay, I think that's going to be fine, and we're going to be able to smooth out any imperfections, I hope, with our dubbing. So just try to get in here. Don't mess with your front wing up there, but let's get this tied off right here. And I'm going to put it pull it forward. You probably can't see with my finger there. I'm going to pull it a little bit forward and then try to cut it at an angle right there so that I might be able to smooth out this body between the tail and the front. So I'm going to build some thread wraps up front here and just try to get a little bit thicker up here. Okay, after you got the body smooth enough, take your thread back up to the wing and let's lift it up and then build a dam up in front of it. We don't want it standing perpendicular, but we do want it standing mostly upright, leaning just a little bit forward. Okay, I think that's about a good angle right there, but if you look at it from the bottom, it's not splayed out like we want. You almost want it at a 180 degree angle. So let's go in here, take your fingernail and just try to spread some of them around. Now take a look at that. Can you see from the bottom? We're almost splayed around. We can get a little bit more over here and right there. Okay, so I think that's going to work. And let's pull it back and lock this in at this position right here before we take our thread back to the back for the dubbing the body. Okay, I think that wing is going to look pretty good. So take your thread onto the back and let's put some wax on it and put our dubbing down. Now you could use a natural hair here or a synthetic. I'm using superfine and a brown olive. Now it doesn't take too much of this. There's my, see, I didn't get a whole lot there. I'm just going to put a thin little noodle on right here because that underbody is already pretty thick and we don't want it to be a whole lot thicker than that. So I'm going to put a thin noodle, leaving just a little bit of bare thread at the beginning, and that's by design because it'll take me a couple wraps to get back there to where it's before it starts laying the dubbing on. So now I'm laying the dubbing on, a real thin layer. Now that we've got our body on the back, keep adjusting your wing if you have to here. I've got a few feathers or few fibers that are wanting to get in the way here, but we can take care of that or ignore them. So next up, put just a little more wax on and a little bit more of this same dubbing. Now you can use this to help prop your wing up if you need. I haven't been putting head cement on these. I've just been doing 2 4 or 5 turn whip finishes, and that works well enough. So there you go, folks. The Haystack, another great Smoky Mountain pattern. This one olive color. You can tie it in any color you want, any natural color typically. But that's all. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.